You are so worth it. You're worth so much. It's only been recently that I've really felt like I'm worth it. Like I'm worth so much. For so long, I've been undermining my own value. I haven't been seeing myself as a conscious creator in the world, someone with a huge intrinsic value and worth, and someone capable of showing up in the world in a high vibrational energy and doing something that they're really passionate about, something that they really love, and no longer choosing to give my energy to things that were draining me of my vital life force, that were making me feel tired and lethargic and things that were just so misaligned with what I came here to do and birth into this reality at the soul and spirit level. I feel like my message today is about your worth, your value. And I'm speaking from my own experiences. It's really from doing the shadow work. And I've been doing a lot more shadow work more consistently lately. And that's also coming from taking more consistent aligned action, creating these videos more frequently, feeling into the energy, doing research aligned with bringing in more high value content, doing that hands on direct work, that shadow work for myself to help clear out the old stuck patterns from my past, my family dynamics that weighed me down were very heavy. I know I've spoken about the heavy family dynamics I grew up with in the past and how for the longest time I just believed things based upon how I had grown up. I believed that I couldn't live a life of my own making, a life on my own terms. I felt like I had to go about and do life on society's terms, on the terms that society had handed me, my family structure had handed me, which had told me go a secure traditional path. I was very much discouraged from being in my creative self as a child, sharing my creative musical gifts, sharing like my true authentic self. That was very much discouraged as a child. I would be shamed and punished and ignored. And that's because my parents, they weren't bad. They were doing the best they could. They didn't have the space within themselves to show up for me in the way that I needed. They hadn't done any shadow work themselves. They hadn't healed any of their childhood wounds. So they were just playing out their same old patterns that they had learned. Maybe they even had awesome gifts, creative aspirations and gifts when they were young. I'll never know for sure. I know my mom had some artistic talent because she did do these amazing watercolors every once in a while. They were so beautiful when she did them. And I certainly didn't get that from her. I don't have watercolor or painting talent. I can draw okay, but definitely can't paint at all. I've tried. But I got more so musical talent. She didn't have any musical talent, but she definitely did have some artistic gifts. And I felt like I hardly ever saw them come out of her. She would do them on a very rare occasion as a little hobby thing, but never did she show them or exhibit them or follow her dreams and her gifts. And that might have been one of her supreme gifts, watercolors. They were really amazing. This woman never practiced them, hardly ever, just once in a while, the rare watercolor painting that I saw her do. But when she did, they were really beautiful. I think we are very much discouraged from being in our authentic energy as children because of this transgenerational traumatic programming and lineage of you need to survive, you need to get a secure job that's stable and serve as a good job that provides for your family, for your own well-being, for your health. And that's a good message. I'm not saying that's a bad message, but when it consistently comes in conflict with what we're really here to do and we're choosing careers, we're choosing life paths based on what we've been programmed and told that we have to do, in spite of not loving that path, not even really caring about that path. Maybe we're somewhat good at it, but that doesn't mean we love it. Just because we're good at something, I'm really good at writing, but I don't really love writing that much. It's not my passion. I have other passions, and that's more so sharing this insight and this depth that I share with you on this channel. Also, fitness, I've shared that's definitely a passion of mine too. So I am starting to pursue my passions in a way that I didn't before. I lived in a lethargic state for many years. I wasn't physically active. I wasn't taking care of myself. I was consistently giving myself the message that I wasn't worthy of taking care of because I didn't feel like I could, quite frankly. I felt all I needed to do was just survive. And that's all I really felt I had the energy to do. And that's in large part because I had been doing a job that was so draining energetically. I had been doing jobs in service based industries for many years and then more social work adjacent type industries for many years, these helping service based industries. And of course, while it feels good to help, that really came more from my wounding. The fact that I had these empathic gifts and strengths based on the mother and father wounds I grew up in my family dynamic with. Both my parents were emotionally immature and they had feminine and masculine woundings that were heavy and severe, and they weren't able to show up in any kind of healthy feminine and masculine energies in any way that served as a good role model for me. Basically, their energy and their constant pushing me to get good grades and go this straight and narrow path and make them look good in society and make them feel proud, and the pressure was on me to perform my whole life and to look good for them whenever we were in social settings and to please them and to not get into any trouble and to take up as little space as I possibly could, to need as little as I could, to be the perfect child for them and have no self expression, really. They wanted a child that was a cookie cutter child who got good grades, went the tried and true, socially accepted path, doctor, lawyer, teacher, business executive, those more traditionally supported and lauded paths in society. They definitely wanted me to go one of those routes, which I did. I went a professional job. So that said, if you're at a point where you're tired of the same old, and you're ready to start living a life that's intentional, you want an intentional partnership, you want an intentional career, you want an intentional home life, life of your dreams, then you need to show up in the energy of that. So, for whatever you want, you need to show up more and more progressively in the energy of that. And I know that can be really hard when you've been in a slump, when you've been in decades, in my case, of slugging through, basically surviving, doing what you needed to do for a job that you're dispassionate about, that doesn't feed your soul in any way. You've been told over and over again, this is what you need to do to be respected in society, to survive, to have a 401k if you're lucky, and a steady income. So that may be where you're finding yourself. And in some cases, maybe you don't even have that. It's a little bit more precarious than that, but you still are trying to go a traditional path that you don't even want to do. And that's even more burdensome on your energy and your spirit because it leaves you with so little energy for yourself, for self care. Once you get home from a job that you feel drained doing, that you don't have any real heart or passion for, but you can still kind of do well because you're just good at that particular skill set that that job covets or requires, you find yourself just energetically tired and drained. You just don't have what it takes to do anything more. Whatever's easy and convenient, usually for a meal, you probably find yourself vegging out in front of a movie or video games or whatever it is that you like to do with your spare time that's low effort, low energy. But then if you keep spending your time doing these low effort, easy meals, easy movies, video game, whatever it is, and you're not actually working towards any of your higher level dreams, and maybe some of you don't even know what that is because you spent so much time just slogging around in this heavy energy and this feeling like I can't break out of this cycle of feeling depressed and having to keep doing this thing I don't want to keep doing for money. It's not sustainable long term. You're going to kill your life force. I think a lot of you maybe already feel that your life force is pretty dead at this point, and you feel like you're abandoning yourself because maybe you're not taking good care of yourself in a lot of ways. You're eating poorly, you're eating too much or too little, or your skin looks unhealthy, and maybe you've aged beyond your years. You can feel that wear can show on your skin, on your face, on your whole vitality, your whole life force. You can gain weight, you can just feel like crap. That's where I was at one point until more recent years when I just started doing this inner work. It's been kind of an on and off process for me throughout the years. I've been really consistent about it at times. I've been consistent about it for the last year or so, but before that, I really was up and down with it. I wasn't always consistent in taking good care of myself. I had those moments, those periods of time, but then kind of fell back into some slumps. So if you've done that cycle too, where you've taken care of yourself pretty well for a while and then you've fallen off the wagon of taking care of yourself, just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start again. There's no limit or time where you're too old or you're past the time where you can start taking care of yourself. It doesn't matter if you're 75 or 80, 85, whatever. You can start taking better care of yourself now. And that can start by a little thing. Start in a way that you can actually stick with. If you have been neglecting your health, if you've been neglecting meditating, neglecting your well-being in some way because all you do is work and eat whatever's easiest and then veg out with whatever TV show you like best or game or whatever it is. It's never too late to make a change. Now is the time. You can do it. You are worth taking care of. One example for me, I've expressed that I have lost weight, about 30 pounds just in the last 4.5 months, something like that. I've started taking better care of my skin too. I've been really lucky. I've always looked, despite not taking such great care of myself, I have had the blessing of looking a little bit younger than I am. I think that's getting more, even more so as I keep exercising, shed those pounds, get really lean and muscular, and spending some intentional time in the sun without overdoing it. Actually, there is a lot of research that says if you microdose the sun, you don't overdo it, you don't risk burning, but these short stints in the sun can be really good for collagen production in your skin, as well as melanin. A nice tan, it feels good as the weather is warming. We're meant to be out there getting that vitamin C and vitamin D, getting that sunshine. If you are going to get some sun, that is very good for us, despite what a lot of the literature says. I believe it's really good for us, and I feel the effects of getting out there, getting some intentional sun, but microdosing just a little bit at a time. You can wear sunscreen. I actually don't wear sunscreen, but I'm good so long as I keep that within reason or wear a hat to shade myself. And that's another biohack, a good thing I've been doing for myself, especially now that it's springtime and I'm getting those sun rays instead of living like a vampire in my house with all the blue light and the phone and the TV. I want to be outside more, enjoying that sunshine, grounding myself in the earth. Have a nice little courtyard area that I've set up with a small garden with these beautiful rose bushes and honeysuckle that's blooming right now, just beautiful flowers. And it's private and fenced in. So I'm taking advantage of that. I'm putting out my beach towel and I'm soaking up those sun rays for about half an hour, just getting a little bit and then coming in, not getting burned because I'm being very intentional about how long I stay out, and have also been doing my research around sunbathing and the benefits of that, as well as what to watch out for and be careful about. That's another simple biohacking tip that you might want to start doing, getting some intentional sun. Other things I've been doing is washing my face twice a day. I used to only wash it up until recently once a day when I would shower in the evening. I've been washing my face early in the day too, and then also at night, and putting on some really lovely lotion and more expensive lotion. Just because it's more expensive doesn't necessarily mean it's better, but I do feel that the lotion and the serums I've invested in are right for me and for my skin, and they've been feeling good, and I'm feeling more youthful, looking younger. I'm actually about to turn 43. I feel like I look pretty good for my age, and I'm really grateful for that. I know it's a combination of a lot of factors. It's my diet. That's another thing. Diet, fitness, skin routine, microdosing the sun in an intentional way, not overdoing it. Invest in what is right for you, because that's one way that we show up for ourselves. When we take the time to research what we want to do to improve our lives, to feel better about ourselves, it's not about reciting 1,000 affirmations in the mirror. I don't know if that's even going to get you anywhere. Yeah, sure, it can help to say, I matter and I love myself. Go ahead and do that. But even more so than saying that to yourself in the mirror, if you don't back that up with actual action, your nervous system, your subconscious mind, it's not going to believe it. You need to actually follow through and show yourself that you matter, that you are here and you're ready and you're worth it and you're willing to take really good care of yourself by investing both the time and the energy. And I know money can be a factor for a lot of people, especially if we're in a position where we don't like our jobs, we want to switch careers. maybe we don't have any family support beyond ourselves. And I was in that position for a long time. I do have really wonderful, loving support right now, a family structure, but I didn't always have that. For a very long time, I was on my own, doing this on my own, and I wasn't always consistent. I did go through times where I did prioritize self-care, and then other times where, especially during the pandemic, where things felt really intense and difficult, and I think it did for a lot of people because things were unprecedented. It was like, wow, the world falling apart. That was a time where I actually totally fell off the bandwagon of caring for myself and was really very much just living in survival mode, as I think a lot of people were at that time. Not everyone, but certainly a lot of people were, because it was such a scary time for a lot of people. So putting that out there, if you're experiencing your own really difficult time, it's fully understandable, because despite the pandemic not being such a threat anymore, it's still a difficult time. There are still lots of challenging things happening in the world. So it's important to have compassion for yourself. If your version of self care doesn't involve spending time researching and time buying certain intentional products for yourself to help you feel better, your skin glow a little better and feel softer and just feel like more refreshed. Or if you really don't have a lot of time because you work a lot of hours and you're working all day long when the sun is up, to sunbathe, or which actually could be a fairly inexpensive way to show yourself you care about yourself, there are still lots of other ways. And I think one of the most important ways, which you can do any time of day, even if you're working all day long and you get home late at night, instead of watching that movie, instead of playing that video game, do something very mindful for yourself, something loving. This is a great time to replace that with the act of self care, because all of these I'm suggesting are self care practices. And I think more than anything else, the most transformative one is shadow work. It's doing that inner loving work on yourself. And that is what gave me the courage to start this channel, consistently showing up for myself by doing this meditative practice, the radical forgiveness work. That's a type of shadow work, I would say. There's lots of different types of shadow work. I also have one that I've linked here where I showed a step-by-step process and how you can go through this particular shadow work process. So I will link that in the comments section below, as well as I've discussed radical forgiveness in the past and exemplified that. I have a 3-part meditation video that I will also link in the comments that has some somatic work in it, as well as there's a calling back the self, the frame technique meditation. That's a very powerful meditation. And that was one of the first meditations I started with. That came from Erin Dowdy's YouTube channel. Sitting with that, doing that for at least a full month before I moved on to doing more shadow work stuff more intentionally, to call my energy back and be in my own frame. That really helped me drop my codependency wound. It really helped me to release and let go of feeling like I need to be liked by other people. By seeing the separation between myself and others, by doing that with a candle flame or a crystal, which I have a version of that, of the frame technique meditation. Again, I'm linking that in the comments. But you're feeling the separation between you and other, you and object, which makes it easier to feel the separation between you and other people. If you're an empathic person, if you're a person with a codependent wound, if you're a person who's very sensitive and attuned to other people's energy, and you have a people-pleasing personality, which I certainly did, and it still comes up here and there. I'm not saying it's 100% gone, but it is definitely a lot more relaxed, and it's not so much there as it used to be. But if you have those qualities and traits where you feel like you need to appease others and you need to be perfect for others, like I did because of my childhood wounding with my parents, it didn't feel safe to not be always pleasing and trying to be liked and good for my parents and for people around me as a child because of that wounding. So if you have that, you're most likely a very empathetic person who is always trying to say the right things, do the right things, quote unquote, right things, so other people will not be threatened by you. So other people will basically like you enough and they'll accept you. They won't have any reason to get angry at you. And sometimes they still do anyways, but you're playing this role, this kind of mousy, small role, playing it small more than you really need to or should, because you are a beautiful, high vibrational being. You have so much power and light inside of you. And you need to let go of this old shadow, this old belief that you need to stay small, that you need to stay limited for the sake of others, that you need to stay this tiny, people pleasing, behind the scenes kind of role in person, perform in a certain way inauthentically that's not aligned with your truth, your higher vibrational light that you came here to shine and share, your greater gifts that are locked inside waiting to come out, your creative power and life force. You are meant to heal those wounds, what you learned to help you survive your childhood, to heal those wounds so that you can come back into your power and thrive and shine your light more authentically. This message is really about coming home to yourself, finding ways to treat yourself generously because you've been treating everyone else with generosity. You've been overgiving to people. Perhaps you always minimize any compliments you get, or you apologize too much just for taking up space, for being in a space where there are other people. You find yourself habitually, compulsively saying sorry for just being there when you have a right to be there like everyone else. I remember I used to do that 5, 6 years ago when I went to this yoga studio and I noticed other girls doing it too. And I was doing a little less than them because I was starting to be like, why am I saying that so much and become more conscious and shift things? But I noticed some girls are really doing it compulsively. They just had to say sorry for just existing in that space and putting their shoes and their purse down or something. And it was just like, no, it's really fine that you're here. That's just a habit. That's an autopilot habit when we're constantly apologizing for our existence. It shows that we're actually uncomfortable in our body space, mind, heart, being. And I'm not going to say I'm fully over that. I still have these moments when I'm feeling more energetically low or just exhausted. If I'm sleep deprived, I find myself falling back into some of those old habits and compulsively saying sorry again because I feel like I'm not in my full awake lively being, and that's something I need to apologize for, and I actually don't, but it's funny how I still see that come up once in a while. I hardly ever say it, but once in a while, I notice when I'm especially tired or exhausted, drained, didn't get enough sleep the night before, that I'm more likely to say that as a habit or in a compulsive way. So that's just something I want you to become aware of in yourself. What do you say and do as a compulsive habit? Just because you feel uncomfortable in your own skin, you feel uncomfortable taking up space. It's something that's important to become aware of, how often we apologize for our existence. It shows that we don't value ourselves. It shows that we don't value our energy. It shows that we don't feel like we have a right to take up space and that we need to make amends for our existence. It doesn't make any logical sense, but when you've had a childhood where taking up space and being seen and shining your light, being your authentic self was something that got you shamed or something that was seen as problematic or discouraged by your parents or your extended family or siblings, then you learn the habit in order to stay safe, in order to survive better in that family structure. You likely learned how to apologize for your existence, but you're an adult. You're grown up now. You don't have to keep apologizing for just existing. You don't have to keep apologizing for wanting the things you want. It is perfectly beautiful and wonderful that you want what you want. There is nobody like you. You have a particular gift or gifts that you came here to share and shine. And I even heard someone say recently, I can't remember who it was another YouTuber, but I think they said it's actually selfish to not share. How did they phrase it? Something like the world needs you to shine your light. And it's actually selfish to hold that back, to hold back your authentic gifts, your joy, what you came here to birth into this reality and do and share. It's actually selfish to hold that back because there is someone out there who is meant to benefit from that particular gift, that particular insight, that particular creative expression that you came here to share and birth into this reality. And you're depriving them for the time being until you get out there and share your light of that creative expression, of that gift that may really serve their life in a beautiful, powerful, and abundant way. So please keep that in mind. You are here to do amazing things. You have your own particular light and creative expressions to share. So next time after a boring day's work or a exhausting day's work, instead of just crashing, take that time to choose differently. You have a choice. You can crash out on the couch or your bed, wherever you like to crash out, with a bag of potato chips and your favorite show that you like to binge watch or movie or video game. Or you can do something for you, something truly loving for yourself. Now, whether that's investing in a new skincare product that you really feel called to do, or a new health product that's like really going to enrich your diet, or cook yourself a really beautiful, healthy meal, or meditate because you've been putting that off for some reason. You've been avoiding doing some somatic work, you've been avoiding doing some shadow work, the frame technique, wherever you want to start. I do recommend like the frame technique is a great place to start, as well as doing a little bit of somatic work. Shadow work can help you go even deeper and can help you release a lot of heavy stuff related to your painful familial patterns with your parents, maybe your grandparents, extended family members. And if you're new to somatic meditation, if you're new to shadow work, the frame technique, just ease into it. Don't expect to have a huge release and I just need to do this once. That's not really the right way to approach this. You really want to be mindful, keep your expectations low or have no expectations. But the most important thing is that you serve as a compassionate parent that you never had. Serve as a compassionate sort of witnessing presence for yourself, loving witnessing presence for yourself, because you didn't get that as a child. And that's why you stored all of that in your nervous system, your heart chakra, and then your lower chakras below your heart, the solar plexus, sacral, and root chakras, these lower energy centers. Doesn't matter if we call them chakra centers or not. These lower energy centers, and throat too, sometimes that's the lack of expression. When we trap things in our throat, it's like we're afraid to speak and share and express our creative gifts, oftentimes our authentic self. So we can feel that we have a lot trapped there too, especially these lower energy centers from the root chakra all the way up to the throat. A lot of this felt like a heart wounding. Everything that was very conditional in my household. I really had to perform in order to be accepted and tolerated and take up as little space as possible. So I did very much dim my light because of that. And if you're here watching this video, some form of that was likely the case for you too. And that's why you're here. You're here to finally release the old, heavy, painful memories and stored emotions from your childhood, that stored shame, that stored resentment, that stored anger. Anger does come up a lot in this work too, because it can feel so exhausting and frustrating and infuriating to keep your authentic voice, your authentic light, your authentic self repressed for so long. It can feel very infuriating to feel I really haven't been able to shine my light or express myself in an authentic way pretty much my entire life. And I'm just starting to feel safe enough because I'm being my own safety anchor for myself. I'm giving myself the parenting I never had. This work calls you to be the parent that you never had for yourself. This isn't something that someone else can do for you. I know that's what we all want. We want it to be made easy. We want to project this out. And I used to want to tell my sad stories over and over again to therapists and mental health professionals, hoping that psychoanalyzing it for the 50th time would help release something. And it didn't. It solidified it even more the more I kept telling my victim stories and analyzing things. That's not actually releasing anything from your body. I'm not saying it doesn't have any value at all, because if you are completely unaware of stuff that has occurred in your life, there is a phase for that, for talking it out and becoming a little bit more aware of some of what you're storing and some of what your trauma and pains are. But to stay in that mode of constantly complaining and talking about it on a loop can become a very strong and solidified victim story that you can further identify with and then really feel like a victim of life, which can actually, unfortunately, keep your energy either very low or bring it even lower than it was. There's a time and place to suss it out, talk it through. But then we want to move swiftly through that into a space of allowing, with a loving, healthy, compassionate presence, allowing ourselves to actually to feel the painful emotions that we stored in our bodies. Start wherever you can. Build up your confidence. Show yourself more and more that you matter and that you're worth taking care of because you absolutely are. And the more that you keep building that belief via your action by acting on that right away, the more your body and your subconscious mind, your whole system, nervous system is going to be in alignment with that, with choosing you and knowing that you matter. And the more it's going to feel progressively safe taking care of yourself. The more that you take care of yourself in this intentional, loving, swift action way over and over again, that builds in a rhythm and a new pattern and belief subconsciously that I'm worth taking care of. And I'm just going to do it and I'm not going to overthink it. I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm just going to keep taking care of myself and keep investing in myself in ways that are aligned and intentional and that matter to me. On that note, I want to wish you a beautiful evening. Thank you again. Bye.